Hey everybody, and welcome to Snowpocalypse here in northern Illinois. As you can see, we've gotten quite a bit of snow. And it's still snowing a little bit right now, but it's beautiful. It's a great way to sort of dial down. And that is dials right into what we're talking about today. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Rita Hickman, and I'm a body-mind expert. Hi Victoria, great to see you. And Yvonne's here too, that's awesome. And my sister's here, wonderful. Hi, Janae. Anybody else? Oh, Kathy's here, great. Hi, Kathy. And Daniel's here, this is wonderful. Everybody must be having a snow day. I love you too, Janae. And Christine's here. Okay, I'll give a couple more moments to see who else is going to show up and talk about losing our marbles today. Okay. All right, so here we go. If you don't know who I am, and hopefully most of you do, I'm Rita Hickman, and I'm a body-mind expert, shiatsu massage therapist, I'm an Asian medicine energy worker, and I'm an intuitive healer. And I do these live streams Monday through Friday, so today's Friday. Hi Heidi, great to see you. And I try to pick topics that help us all come together and navigate life in today's world using body-mind tools, because that's really my specialty. In Asian medicine, they believe that you can change how you think and you can change how you feel, hi Julie, by changing your body. And you can change your body by how you think and how you feel. And all of those things, that they're each gateways or doorways into working on something else. And I just took a coaching program. I just finished up. And one of the things they talked a lot about was side coaching. And that fits right in with Asian medicine. With side coaching, you listen to somebody else being coached. And because it's not you, you're not defensive, you're not upset. You can actually hear the information better because you're not reacting to something. It's not about you. And this is the same thing with body-mind science. A lot of times if we're having mental challenges, like our head won't stop obsessing about something or worrying or feeling paranoid, or maybe it's foggy, we can help resolve that through the body, through choices that we make physically. And the same thing physically. We can affect how we feel, our felt sense, by changing the thoughts we put in our head, the books we read, things along those lines. So I find Asian medicine a lot of fun because it gives you little sideways things to address what's going on in our life. So hi Wanda, great to see you. So one of the things on such a snow day like today is that stress starts to build up, all those little things are, hi Susie, great to see you. So our stress level, our psyche is like a scale, okay? And when we keep putting things on one side of the scale, all of these coins on one side of the scale, which are even just a little bit stressful, they start to add up. And that side of the scale starts to get heavier. And until it reaches a tipping point and we go out of our rational thinking. Hi, Zach, great to see you. Wow, nice to have you on. And we go out of our rational thinking and we start to go into our emotional thinking. Our rational mind actually checks out. It goes someplace else, and our limbic system, our emotional thought processes, start to take over. So when even something like a snow day happens, let's say it's cold, and you threw your back out, and school is canceled, and your kids are now home, and you have to feed them, and you don't feel good yourself, and it's winter. When all of these things pile up on one side of the scale, then that's when we hit our tipping point. And so I want to teach you a couple tricks that will let you take some of that stress off of you so that you can get back to life. Because when we come from an emotional place, what tends to happen is that's when we obsess. That's when we worry. That's when we get paranoid. And we end up paralyzed. We go into fight, flight, freeze, or faint. We go into a state of mind where we stop functioning, really on a balanced sort of way. And we react to things, we make things worse. We just can't get our head on straight. So one of the tools I've been playing with a friend of mine lately is renaming our stresses. Because you know you've got a problem with something, unless you're in denial, and we are all in denial about a bunch of things. You know when something is off. And when you name it, when you say in your head something like, yes, you did this to me, it's your fault, you made me mad, or you made me sad, that thought and that feeling come into alignment, which is good, but then it makes it actually heavier. It makes it sometimes a lot harder. When you tell yourself you're depressed, when you tell yourself that you're broken or screwed up, it tends to make it a lot harder to be not screwed up, to be not depressed, to get back on a good path. That's one reason why a lot of kids, when they have, or a lot of people, when they have something happen to them, some sort of trauma, assault or a mugging or emotional abuse, or when something happens to them, they don't tell anybody. Because if we deny when something is happening to us, it actually makes it a little bit easier to handle. We don't want someone else to tell us and validate that we're broken, because now we can't manage that stress very well. So one of the coping tools that I use when those tiny little stressors are adding up on the other side of the scale, and I'm ready to just, chuck it all and not do anything, stay in bed all day, and not function and tell everybody to go away. When I'm starting to feel like that, this is one of the tools that I pull out of my magic hat. I rename how I'm feeling. I know, let's say I'm anxious, and instead of telling myself over and over and over, I'm anxious, instead I tell myself, oh, I'm just eating jelly beans. Or, this is only vanilla pudding. Or, this is unicorns and rainbows and puppies. So I know it sounds a little bit odd, but when you start to normalize how you feel, when you stop making it and putting a label on it and making it something that's big and scary, it makes it a lot easier to handle. Because when we put a negative, difficult label on something, our body's now reacting to that label. It's reacting to the idea that we're depressed. It's reacting to the idea that we're anxious. And it makes us feel more anxious. It makes us feel more depressed and heavier. If we already know these things, if we're acknowledging them, then we don't have to think them as well. We get to think something that feels better. So it's not about denying how you feel, and it's not about distracting yourself with something else so that you pretend that you're not feeling it. It's feeling it, but making it a little bit easier to feel it by normalizing the challenge, by saying this is normal. This is what human beings go through. It's no big deal. Now, recently I went to Decatur, which is a small town in Illinois. And in this, it's a fairly small town. And in this small town, everybody has their own role. We went out to dinner, and it was wonderful to see all of these people in this restaurant. And it's like each table had its own place in society. It's, its own quirks and personality and job to do in that community. And there wasn't a lot of, there wasn't a lot of judgment around it, because everybody was allowed to be quirky. It wasn't that, well, this person's depressed and they need to be institutionalized. It was, that's just Aunt Martha. She's losing her marbles. And so people loved Aunt Martha, and they accepted her, and they welcomed her many times into the community and into the families and the life. They weren't necessarily hidden, because where were people going to go? You had to figure it out. You had to find a way to normalize what felt uncomfortable. You're not going to get away from being a human being. You're not going to get away from the wide variety of things. And I actually don't know why you would want to. Why would you want to cut off a part of yourself from life? Because every part of you has gifts to bring and insights and understandings. We just want to make it a little bit easier to be human. Hi, Tamara, great to see you. To make it a little bit easier to deal with being a human being. And one of the ways is we normalize or soften the things that are scary or hard. So when we can make something fun, just like, we try to do with kids, when we can add a little humor or joy, or think of something as jelly beans, maybe black jelly beans or red jelly beans, or as unicorns or popcorn or something like that, it softens the experience and makes it easier for us to go forward, because it takes some of those coins off that side of the scale, and our rational mind can come back in and say, okay, yeah, this is okay. We can handle this. I think that's why sometimes, people do go into those fantasies. They do go into what looks from the outside as if someone's a little bit dotty or a little bit nutty, because that's probably one of their coping skills, which they're very good at. And people look at me and they think I'm a little bit dotty, because I look at the world in a fun, creative way, because it makes it easier to handle the stress and the hard things that happen. So that's one of my favorite coping skills. And the next time you start to feel wound up or stressed out, you feel all the little irritations of the world catching up to you, try calling them something different and see if it lowers your stress level and makes it easier for you to handle. The second tip I'm going to give you today is, because your body-mind doesn't know the difference between something you imagine and something you actually do, you get to go on a mini vacation kind of whenever you want. And you get to create a very rich and vivid imagination. When I talk to people and we do visualization together, a lot of people tell me that they're not very good at visualization. And the reason, hi Ben, good to see you. And the reason people aren't good at visualizing, at daydreaming, at letting themselves go off to another land, is they probably don't have a lot of practice in it. It's probably something that, they haven't been encouraged to have. We were told we needed to be functional and daydreaming was bad. We were told reading books takes too much time. That's a luxury. That we aren't supposed to stare off into space and let our mind wander, because that's not efficient and productive. I think really things really changed when we hit the industrial age and we started to treat people as if they were machines instead of people anymore. Instead of people with lots of needs and lots of really wonderful creative ways of handling life. We held ourselves to a much higher expectation of who we were supposed to be. And we looked at each other and we had these high expectations for each other too. You need to be this and you need to be that. Instead of, like these communities, having a much softer viewpoint, allowing people to be where they are and what's going on. So if you want to get better at taking those coins off of the scale, then I suggest you start daydreaming just a little bit more and creating these fantasy worlds and diving into those books and diving into your imagination. Because what it does is your body reacts as if you're there. We spend our imagination a lot of times these days thinking about all the things that can go wrong. And that's normal for our limbic system. Our limbic system, when we're in fight or flight, wants to protect us as much as possible. And because of that, it will think of everything that can go wrong. But instead, let's do a redirect. Not thinking about everything that can go right, but giving ourselves a little bit of a vacation by imagining or visualizing being someplace else, or doing something else, or sometimes being somebody else. Give yourself that little bit of break. And when you come back from that, staycation in your chair, or when you went to the bathroom, you'll feel a little bit more refreshed. The whole idea is to start learning tips and tricks that little bit by little bit by little bit take the stress off of your scale, off of that side of the scale. Most people think that it's something big. For me, I'm probably going to start taxes today, and that pushed me over the edge. But in reality, I still have to do taxes. So how am I what can I take care of? What little worries, what little mind tricks can I do that will make me feel better so I can get back into my normal range, into a normalized stress range, rather than one that feels, nope, I'm done, I'm not going to think about it. And that's how we end up procrastinating, because we want to close our eyes and just not feel it at all. Whereas instead, let's feel it, but let's use great tools to keep us on the right track. So my 2 tools today are, 1, call it something different. Stop calling the thing that's so scary a scary name. You know, call it something that's a little bit gentler and a little bit more compassionate. The second thing is give yourself permission to daydream a little bit. You know, people sometimes comment to me that I'm not as efficient as I could be, that I don't make the most of my time, you know, because I'll sit and I'll daydream a little bit and I'll stare out the window. But the thing is when I feel good, when I'm not in a place of fight or flight, I get so much more done. I think so much clearer. And so daydreaming and staring out the window helps me stay on track. It keeps me from overreacting to things, making more drama or problems that I need to clean up later. And it allows me to make the most of the time that I do have. So taking that little bit of time to escape inside of your mind is an incredibly healthy and mentally healthy and emotionally healthy thing to do. So I really encourage you to do it. Stop being so efficient, and it will make you even more efficient. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So this is the end of the week for the live streams. And I start Monday our coaching program, our 10-week coaching program. So if you've talked to me or chatted with me, let me know if you'd like to be a part of the program. We've started our series of emails sending out to the 7 women who are in the program, and I'm really excited to work with them. So I'm still going to be doing my live streams every morning at 8:15. Hi, Robin. Good to see you. Still going to be doing the live streams and retain on this super fun extra project of this 10-week coaching program for intuitive women who feel disconnected from their intuition, and getting them back to a place where they feel confident and centered and grounded, and they can trust their intuition in any situation. So you stop worrying, you stop being paranoid, you stop wasting time, and you stop wasting money and life distracting yourself with other things because you feel so overwhelmed. When you have great intuition, then you always know the right thing to do, and it keeps you moving forward. So that's it. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for joining me in our little snow globe here in Northern Illinois. Bye.